Hello everyone. So as I mentioned in my previous video that we are going to load the orders and orders data table in the staging area. Why we need those tables? First of all, let's see the fact table one here. We have the turnover, which is the measure of revenue, and we have the number of orders. We have delivered orders and non-delivered orders and total orders, which means the sum of delivered and non-delivered. So the orders and order details contain some columns that help us to calculate those measures. For example, in the orders here, we have the customer ID and we have the employee ID and we have the order date. And also we have the ship date that help us to calculate the number of delivered or non-delivered orders. However, in the order details here, we have the product ID and also the order ID that help us to look up with the orders table. And we have the unit price and quantity. And to calculate the revenue or the turnover, we just multiply the unit price by the quantity. So that's why we are going to load those data, those tables. So let's see how we are going to use them in Talend. Okay, so we need to create a design here, a job design. Create a job design and call it orders, start by orders. Then, okay, just press finish here. Okay, so we go to our access connection. We select the orders table here. Okay, as an input, also for the SQL server here, we need to use the order table here. Okay, nice. And we need to use Tmap just to make some transformation and some converting. Okay. And also for the orders of SQL Server, Tmap here. Okay, let's see in our Tmap what we have. We have the order ID, we have the employee ID and customer ID. We need to understand something. In our staging area here, in the tables, if we check the customer ID, we have the SQL Server customers and also, the SQL Server customers and also the customer ID of access. Also in the employee table, we have the access employee ID and we have SQL Server. As we see here, we have X for each employee ID in the access table. And if we check our product, I think it's the same thing. We have the numbers, only the numbers here for SQL Server table. However, in access table, we have here another variable X, which differentiate SQL Server from access. So we need to be aware of this when we create our job for the orders table or order details. So what we do now, we create an output. Then we should create some variables to do some cleaning and some transformation. In order ID, we need to convert the data to a string. So order ID here, and how we are going to do that, we need to use the string function with value of exactly, and we copy this variable here and put it in argument 0. Okay, and we need to add X because as I told you, it is access table. We need to then differentiate orders of access and SQL Server. Okay, and for the employee ID, I think is the same thing. We need to use the string here, and we need to use the variable string dot value of. Okay, of thing like that, and add X as another variable. Okay, and for the customer ID, I think the same thing. For the customer ID, we need only to convert the column here. Why? Because we didn't do any transformation in the customer table, because the ID of the SQL Server is like a string, not an integer. So that's why we didn't do any transformation. Okay, string, we need only to convert this integer to a string. So you're using the function string the class string and the function value of. Okay, good. Now we just converted the IDs. We need just to take the order date and the ship date. Okay, so we just drag and drop directly here. Order date, and we have, I think, the ship date. Yes, good. Now we need to drop this here. We're gonna fix the orders, don't worry. Okay, let's start by the order date. So let's just name it date, or order date. Okay, for the ship date, we can name it ship date. And for this variable, I think, yeah, it's an order ID, so we need the order ID. Okay, and here we can let it like that. I mean, I just want to make the names similar, like for the first Tmap and second Tmap. Okay, we have date, 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 and we have string. Now let's just fix the orders of the columns. Just click in this arrow up just to change the order of the columns. Customer ID, I think now it's good. Let's make it like, I don't know, 50. Just put a number there. 50 and here 50. Okay, let's apply. Okay, let's do the same thing in Tmap 2. Let's create an output 2 here. Let's do some variables. I don't think so. We need some. Yeah, we need some transformation for the ID, order ID, and I think the employee ID. Yeah. Okay, so let's start by the order ID here. Also the customer ID. No, I mean the employee ID here. Okay, drag and drop here. Okay, so let's type string value of. Okay. Okay, and also for this variable, okay, string value of row 2 here, and now we need to put this to a string. Okay, and just drag and drop this variable is here, the customer ID, and also order date and the ship date. Okay, good. Let's just rename some columns here, and let's just switch the column orders. Change the name. Okay. Okay, and also let's change the length of the variables here. 50, 50, and also here 50. I think there is no precision here in the first Tmap. Let's check if there is any precision here. Yeah, there is no precision, but here we have 26. We need to change the length of the second Tmap, 0, 0. Okay, so let's check the second Tmap here, and I think, yeah, we need to change it to 26, and also here to 26, and here 0 to precision. The precision should be 0, and just apply like that. Yeah, let's do something. Here the customer ID should not be newable. The order date also. However, the ship date should be newable. Sometimes why? Because we said that we need to calculate the number of the orders, shipped order or not shipped, I mean delivered or non-delivered, which means if the order, if the order just has been shipped or not. Okay, so let's press OK here. Let's check something here. I think, yeah, we don't need to make the order date newable. Let's press OK. Then we need to use the component tunit here. Okay, and also tune it here. Let's make output 2 here. And let's check something here. And it edits the schema. And for that, we need just to select all the columns here and just transform them to the right, of course. Copy all the column here to the right. Yeah, everything is okay. Let's press OK. Okay. Now we need to check something. I think we should check if there are any redundant value, which should be, I think, yeah, I think we should check order ID, because if there is any redundant order ID, we should delete them. Okay, and now we need to use our staging area as output source. So t output, okay, and we'll link our t-unique row to this component. We name the table to orders, okay, and we change the action on table to drop table if it exists, and we'll let action on data insert. I think everything is okay now. Let's just run the job. Okay, we see that the job doesn't work. Let's check why. Let's just save the job first. Then just exit the job, and we go again here and relaunch the job. Yeah, it's starting. Yeah, there is an error. Let me see why there is an error here. Okay, incompatible data type and conversion. Yeah, okay. I don't know what table do that. I don't know what columns. But as I told you, I worked in this project before making this video just to make sure that the project was fine. So let me check here. What's the problem, first of all? If we check our table here, I think this is a string. I think this variable should be deleted. I don't know what is this columns. So let's just delete it from here. And okay, let's press OK. Let's go here also and delete it from the selection, because we don't need it. I think so. Okay, let's rerun the job again. Let's wait a second. Let's guess the query. Okay, and now let's run the job again. Okay, it's connecting, starting. Okay, yeah, it works fine. That's good. That's good. As you see now, we just update our table to 878. Yeah, there was a problem here in access table. There were a column that doesn't have any meaning and doesn't have any thing to do with our data, so we just delete it, and we don't waste our time to process that columns if we don't need it at all. So good. Now let's check our table in Northwind staging area. Let's refresh our tables. Okay, and there it is. So no, not this. Sorry, guys. I think we should check. Yeah, the staging area save point, and we go to our tables. There it is. Let's select the orders, and now there it is. Like, we have our order ID, employee ID, customer ID, order date, and we have our ship date. We have some null value. Those null value help us to calculate the number of delivered or non-delivered items. Good. Now we should pass to the order details table. Okay, now so let's talk about the orders table. Orders detail table, and how we're gonna create it. I think it's the same process as we did in our orders table. We need to create a job design here and name it to orders detail. Okay, and why it doesn't work? Okay, said that the name exists and it doesn't exist here. Maybe the cache or something like that. Let's just finish the process here, and let's start by implementing our job design. So we need to orders detail here as a table from access table. Access database. and pick the input as of course, and also from SQL Server we need the orders details here as an input, and we need also our tmaps. Okay, so just type here tmap, and for the orders details here also tmap. Okay, let's start by our first tmap. Okay, so if we check here, we're gonna find there is an ID here, there is an order ID, product ID, quantity, and unit price. And we are interested in quantity, unit price, and product ID and order ID. As I mentioned in orders table, we need to convert order ID and product ID the same way we did in the table of product and also on table of orders. What I mean by that, we need to add X string or variable to those columns. So let's add two variables here. Let's drag and drop the orders and also the product ID. Okay, and we need to convert them to a string. Wait a second. Yeah, we need to convert them to a string. How we're going to do that? We need to just call the class string and call the function value of course, and it convert whatever variable you have to a string, and we need to add to that an X. Okay, press OK, and also we do the same thing to our product, and we need to start string of, value of, and we copy this product here and just call it in place of B. We add X, of course. Okay, let's check our quantity and our unit price. We have big decimal here. We need to convert them, I think, to integer and make it easy for us, because let's check in our second tmap here. We're gonna find out that the unit price is an object, which means money, because SQL Server we can use a money type, and the quantity is a short. So let's just convert all this data to integer and just get rid of breaking your headache. You're getting headache for just transforming this data. Okay, how are we gonna do that? Let's start by our first tmap here. Okay, so let's start convert the quantity to integer. We're going to do that. Just change the type to integer here, and let's use the integer class. Okay, and use the function parse. I think parse. Yeah, let's make it like that. Parse. Yeah, parse int. However, we need as a parameter here a string. So how we're going to do that? We're going to use the quantity here and convert it to a string. So we use the function to string. Okay, and now we just converted our quantity to an integer. Okay, let's press OK. And however, for the unit price, as I said earlier, I said we need to convert it to integer. But I forget that if we check our tables here and we check the order details here, sometimes we have, I don't know, 18.60. And if we convert this value here to an integer, it's going to round this value to 18. This is wrong. So how to prevent this? We need to convert this object or whatever type of this data to float, which is the right way to prevent those kind of errors. So we need to use the same way as we converted our quantity. We need to drag and drop the unit price here, and we're going to use the class float. Okay, float.parse float. We need a string as a parameter, so we need to convert unit price to a string, which is easy by using toString function. Okay, and just press OK. So now we need to create an output and add our variables or columns. The first var, the second var, and the quantity and the price. Let's change the names here to order ID. And also here we need to change the name to product ID. Product ID Here quantity unit price, it's okay. And there is something here we need to be aware of. We should change to float here. Yes, let's check float. Yeah, exactly. And here to float also. Okay. And the string here should be 50 because the order ID of the table order should 50 and project. I think product here. I'm gonna check this variable how it count. I mean how the length of this column. For the quantity, I think just let's just type 10 here, also here 10. However, this should second team up should have the same length. Let's press apply and okay, and let's apply the same process to second team up. In the second team up here, um, we have the order is an integer and the product is an integer. Unit price is an object, quantity is a short. So we need to do some transformation or some conversion. Let's convert the order ID and the product here ID, and also to convert the unit price and the quantity. Okay, so both of this should be a string. Okay, and for the unit price should be float, I think, and also for the quantity should be an integer. Let's start by the product and just type string the value of. I think it's the easiest way to convert a variable to a string using the class string and just convert whatever you want to a string. String dot value of order ID to a string here. I made a mistake. Yeah, I made this mistake here. The value of to copy the order ID and replace it in B. And now we need to convert the quantity and convert the quantity from float to integer, I think. I mean, not from the short to integer. And we do that by using the constructor of the class integer. What I mean by that, we create a new instance of an integer because there are several ways to convert data. For example, if you convert the data from a big decimal to an integer, you need to convert the variable to a string, then we parse it to an integer. And in this example here, we have type short. How we're gonna convert it? So we need to convert, like create an instance of an integer and pass the parameter of the variable just to convert it to integer. How we know this type of conversion? I think in Talend community there is a web page that explain all this type of conversion, and it helps a lot when you do some transformation or whatever data processing you're doing. So I will link this page and have a look to it. Okay, so now I think we finished from converting our quantity. Now we need to convert the unit price. It's the same way as the first Tmap. We need to use the float class, pass the variable to float and convert the unit price to a string. So to string and okay. Now we need to create an output 2 here. And we need to add those variables here. We need to change the column orders, unit price, quantity. And let's check here the name. What is this? This is the product ID. So we need to name it product ID. Okay. Here order ID, we need just to add something here, character, unit price, quantity, float. Okay, we need here to make 50 and no precision. Here 50 and here 10 and 10. Let's switch the order. I need to check also the orders of unit price and quantity here for the first Tmap, just to make the data works fine. Okay, we have quantity and unit price. So let's change the order in the second Tmap. I think we need to change this order. Quantity then Tmap, and the length should be 10. Okay, great. Now we just fixed our tmaps and we need to use the unit just to merge the data. Okay, so let's take the first output and link it to unit, and also the second output to unit. Double click into unit, edit the schema, and let's check. Let's take all the columns here and copy them the right window. Okay, everything works fine. Now we need to check if there are any redundant column or double column. We filter them using tunic row, and we need to check the order ID. Okay, now what we need our staging area database, and just make it an output. We'll link the unit to the staging area database. Double click here. We'll name the table to orders details. Orders details. Okay. We change the auction table to drop if table exists, and auction data insert. Let's save the job, and now we need to run the job. Okay. Hope there are no errors. Yeah, there are some errors. Okay. What's the problem here? Has a compiler placed what error? I mean, okay, let me check. I don't know what kind of errors here. Maybe, okay, we have string ent float. Let me check. Yeah, yeah. No, there is no error here. To string. Okay, what am I missing here? Okay, let's re-execute the job and check what is the error exactly. So the message said that bro1 cannot be resolved as a variable. Okay, what is this bro1 here? Yeah, oh my god, I did a mistake here. Okay, I forgot to delete the b, which was the parameter of this string of value. Yes, that's why there is an error here. Let's delete the b here, and I think now it's gonna work fine. Let's just run the job. Yeah, that is error here. There are several errors, which is so weird. Uh, mhm. Columns name null in table orders detail more than once. What does it mean, this? Let me check the error again. Okay. I think, yes. Okay. Let's see something here. Let's just read the error. And sometimes when those errors happen, when I make those videos, it's very important just to learn how to understand Talend or whatever ETL you're using. You should understand the error, then think how to fix them. For example, here, the column names in each table must be unique. The column name null, I mean, let's check our Tmap here. There is no column name null. Null, I mean. So why those errors? Okay, I will tell you why. When we create Tmap, I always say that the those name of columns should be unique in the first Tmap or second Tmap or third Tmap, whatever Tmap you're using. And when we created our Tmaps, we use here quantity unit price, but in the second Tmap here, we didn't match the same names. That's why it caused a problem. So what we need to do is to just rename the column here and copy this name, okay, and go to the first Tmap and change the name also here just to match it, and the quantity here should be like that, capital letter and uppercase, I mean lowercase quantity, okay, and just press OK. Now I think it's gonna work fine. Yeah, let's just start the job again. And okay, it's starting, it's running, good. And there is an order error here. I think in this table there are so many errors, but it's so cool. Let's just learn with each other. Okay, what is this? Java. What? Interesting. Let me check this error why. Okay. So after checking my previous project, the project this project because I did it before, jump into creating these videos. I mentioned, I figure out two things and I need to explain them. Let's start by fixing this error and we go to the second error. So why this error happened? Because Java sometimes when try to convert data, and we know that Talend is based on Java, so to process those data, you need to do stuff on this data before to convert them. Yeah, it sounds kind of weird, but this is how Java works, and this is why, like in my opinion, why I hate Java because like it needs so much configuration, and sometimes it makes your headache, kills you. So how we gonna fix this? We just double click here in order details and we go to the order details quantity and cast this column to an integer. Okay, so we cast it like that, and now we run the job. We're gonna see that we're gonna have, I think, 800 rows. Yeah. So now we are having like 2,213 rows. Actually, we should have 800 if we check this order ID. If we use Tunic row, but we don't need this component. Why? Because I forget that each order has its own project. So we can have like this order ID here, 10,248 several times because the project ID changed, so the price changed. So that's why we don't need this component. So we can delete this component directly and use TUnit, link to TUnit directly to the staging area. And now we just finish our job. And if we check our SQL Server in the staging area save point here, we refresh our tables first. Then we got our orders details table here. And let's see the data. Okay, as you see here, we have the order ID, the product ID, quantity, unit price. Here, I think this is the access table, and also here the SQL Server table, as you see. So if we do some selection here, let's count those numbers and delete this columns. I think we're gonna have, yeah, 2,230. It's the same number of rows if we run it again. Yeah, it's the same number. So now we just finish our orders details and order table. We can pass directly to the data warehouse, and we need to create another project for this and see how to create the dimensions and the fact table and how we calculate the measure. So see you in the next video.